Hello everybody and welcome to a little video about Stoneshard. This is a game that I very much wanted to love when it was initially released. The prologue that released for free on Steam had a lot of promise and a lot of production value. The game was pretty and looked nice and the dungeon was fun to explore. The actual game itself was a very early version of what hopefully one day will be an interesting game to play. Currently, however, it's still in a state where it's incredibly slow, bogged down with a lot of issues and pacing problems, and kind of boring, unfortunately. However, the game has sold very well, which means the developers have a lot of headroom to continue developing it and improving it. The recent Spitalier update added a lot of promise, but the game still suffers from pacing issues in my opinion. The problem is it's very easy to quickly outlevel all of the enemies in the world, so thus the leveling curve is extremely slow right now. Now, they just posted a future plans and changelog, which I think exposes some interesting issues with the game that I would like to talk about. Previously, I put up a video called Stoneshard, a very derivative roguelike, which you can go view if you want. I will link it in the description. I'm very critical about the game. It's about the launch version of the game. This is mostly just going to be footage of me kind of talking over patch notes. There will be some clips, however, from recent streams, although they will be muted and don't mind my little camera up in the top right corner. We have an important news for you. First off, all the most recent patch has been released, bringing some new content and some major fixes. The changelog can be found at the bottom of this post. Now, the entirety of Troll Slayer content has been added to the game, and we'd like to share our updated development plan as well as some info about future goals. As many of you could have noticed, the current content is limited by the first 7 to 10 levels and the characters outgrow most dungeons and enemies upon reaching this threshold. This is the problem that I'm speaking about because it kind of forces you to outlevel very quickly. As we are well aware of this problem, however, getting to the high level content is meaningless, but before they do that, they need to resolve two important issues. Ideally, they'd like enemy factions to have distinct behavior patterns. Right now, enemies only differ in their stats and skills. So essentially, right now, they are, I guess not admitting, I think that's maybe the wrong word to use, it's a little bit harsh. They are stating that they only have one AI. The only difference between individual units, the only difference between dogs, characters that move around, and enemies in different dungeons, is their stats and gear. This is one of the problems I have with this game. The AI is very uninteresting currently, and I really hope that they're able to create some interesting behaviors that make the different AIs feel more unique outside of stats. Let's continue. As they are a single template for their actions. To fix this, we plan to dedicate a few months to fully rework our AI system and some of the associated systems. Looking forward to this. I really hope that this is a fix that they can sort out. The next thing they have here is the same can be said about our dungeons. Right now, they are generated based on shared parameters. The only two things that set them apart at the moment are graphical assets and the enemy rosters. We, however, would like to make the dungeon crawling process in the game much more memorable than clearing room after room. That is why we plan to work on a new dungeon and generate a dungeon generation algorithm, sorry about that, and along with the AI rework. This is another very important problem. Currently, the dungeons are all virtually identical from dungeon to dungeon, and they are boring. Straight up, like the dungeons are very uninteresting to crawl around in. The enemies do get harder, but again, the AI performs the same, they act the same, they look very similar, and the only difference is their gear. And because the dungeon layouts are very uninteresting, especially in regards to competition, there isn't a lot of variety, so you get bored very quickly. I really hope that they get more variety into the dungeons. The more the merrier, the more the better. We need more dungeons in this game. Both of these tasks are fairly difficult and time-consuming, and both of them require extreme extensive testing. This is why we can't give you an exact amount of time. We will work on these elements until we are completely satisfied with the results. For now, the approximate date for the AI and updated dungeon generation and associated content as well and features is summer 2020. So they're saying that this will be out in the summer. Now, this kind of goes back to my previous problem. I genuinely think this game launched too early, and I think that there was some very disingenuous sales pitches for this game. So they pitched the free prologue, which you can still go play, and you should, because the free prologue is good, and then they put out the actual game. My biggest problem with Stoneshard is a lot of it was impulse purchases based on what is essentially a vertical slice. Now, a vertical slice in games is when you take a chunk of your game and you polish it up more than anything else you have. You make it look better, sound better, and play better than anything to show to press to get people excited. And that's what they sold people on for this. In many ways, you could look at it, and I look at it this way, as a bait and switch. The actual game is nothing really compared to the prologue, which is very, very, very unfortunate. I'm glad that they are aware of these issues and they're working towards fixing them. I just wish that they'd done them in the first place. Thank you very much for watching this short video about Stoneshard. If you like the sound of my voice and would like to hear more of it, I stream 6 days a week over on twitch.tv/BLINDIRL. You can find lots and lots of Dwarf Fortress footage on my YouTube channel, as well as various informations about Dwarf Fortress and games that I'm interested in. This just happens to be one of them. Thank you very much for watching.